So, all right, I guess we should talk about Prince Andrew, right? So now known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. So this does seem like the cracking of an egg. This seems like the beginning of something, right? Like basically, he's now been arrested for basically showing and giving classified UK documents to Epstein. What is it with people who do this, right? Look, I looked at classified stuff.
Isn't this exciting? And the funny thing too, well, I'm going to blow my own horn on the one hand. I'll say that in a second. But the funny thing is too is why. Oh, I think I'm double.
Yeah, I'm going to just take you out there.
Thanks.
Okay.
So on the one hand, why would Epstein care about British trade information? That doesn't make any sense to me. On the other hand, this is exactly what an Israeli access agent would do. It's exactly what he would do. Just bring in anything he can, because this is something called operational testing.
Well, it could be insider information, and that could affect,
it was
Epstein's holdings.
Absolutely, 100% yes. So in a way, this could have been operational testing too. If Epstein says, "Hey, listen, it would really help me out a lot if you could get me what the next round of trade negotiating positions is going to be," and then you sort of bump it up from there. If he comes through with that, you give him something that's a little tougher, and then you move him into defense. They're investigating Lord Mandelson now, the former Lord Mandelson, Peter Mandelson, right now for the same thing. He'll likely be arrested in the coming couple of weeks on a charge of providing Epstein with classified defense ministry information.
Would Andrew be someone they would want to try that the MI5, I guess it would be in this case, would want to flip, or is he a big fish?
That's a good question. That's a good question. They probably wouldn't have had the guts to try to flip him, or they would have been afraid of the Israelis, or the royal family wouldn't have permitted it.
Well, the King Charles III, has said that he was willing to provide a statement, and to basically be deposed or questioned, I guess, maybe more to the point, about what he knows about all this. So it sounds like he's cooperating with the inquiry.
Andrew,
I've got to think there's more coming, and I think it's going to ripple across the Atlantic. And I think this is just the very beginning.
But this is a lesson for the Americans, because we're like, oh, we really wish we could arrest somebody, but the statute of limitations is expired, so everybody's off scot-free. In the meantime, a couple of congressional committee chairmen want Andrew to come to the United States and be deposed. There was a conversation on BBC that I watched last night where the Brits were seeking American assurances that Andrew wouldn't be arrested if he were to arrive at JFK or at Dulles to testify on Capitol Hill. Well, the reason why they wanted the assurances was because they wanted to arrest him.
Is he right? Well, is he right? Is he would he voluntarily testify? He doesn't have to.
He does not have to.
He's not an American.
They were asking him. They didn't issue a subpoena. They just simply sent a letter to the British embassy asking for it to be passed to Andrew, saying, "We would like for you to come and testify. We will offer you transactional immunity." And then they said, "Well, besides the immunity, we want you to promise that he won't be arrested when he arrives." And then they grabbed him.
Do you think the Brits would have shared, given how close the relationship is, the Brits would have shared their intent with their American counterparts to say,
yes,
we're going to arrest him? So
I do.
lay off.
I think they told the FBI, and that's why we haven't heard anything from the FBI about Andrew. Nothing. Only from Capitol Hill, and they would not have access to the information.
So is there a statute of limitations in Britain over the mishandling of classified information?
No.
Is this like going after Capone on taxes? Basically,
yes.
we know he was like raping little children, but we can't get him on that.
That is what it is. Yeah, it's like going after Capone.
And the thing is, my other take on this is, once you have the investigation, once you've arrested him, once you have now you have a case, you've got discovery, you've got everything, and you're going to find out all the rest. And you're gonna, everything, every time Prince Andrew has double parked or done anything, not put enough postage on his letters, they're going to know about, and they're going to find out. It's
true. And then the question is, do they prosecute the other cases that they're able to develop from whatever they find in discovery? And then the real question is, do you send the former, second in line? At one time, he was second in line to the throne, to prison. I mean, British prisons are notorious. They're worse than American prisons. And they have this unusual rule in British
Assange
prisons.
was very sick, right?
Assange was very sick. There was real worry that he would lose his life. But they have this weird rule in the UK. A BBC reporter asked me about it, if we had anything similar in the United States. And I said, no. Everybody starts off in maximum security. And you have to do a phase of your sentence in maximum, then you go to medium, then you go to low, and then you go to house arrest. So if you're in for 10 years, you do 2.5, 2.5, 2.5, 2.5. If you're in for 6 months, you do a month and a half, et cetera. Is he going to end up in Belmarsh?
It's possible,
right?
It's
absolutely possible.
Or could he be extradited to the United States?
Well, but remember, we have this statute of limitations.
Right. But what if they get him on something that there is no... I mean, it's interesting to me, by the way, just parenthetically, that when New York, for example, had opened that 1-year window for civil claims against, people like that, nothing happened to Andrew.
No.
And, Epstein spent a lot of time in Manhattan.
Yes.
So I'm sure some of these shenanigans happened here. I know at least one of those photos. Want to support the show with style? Go to DeProgram.live and check out our merch. That's DeProgram.live, or check out the description below. Thanks for watching. Okay, here we go. Let's do some more questions here. Would Charles dissolve Parliament over all this? He does have that royal prerogative.
Well, that's a good question. And it's a more difficult question to answer than it might seem. The easy answer is probably no. But here's the issue. Mandelson, the former British ambassador to the United States, former, business minister, former member of the House of Lords, we knew that Mandelson was close to Epstein. He lied to Keir Starmer about it, and Keir Starmer just bought the lie, hook, line, and sinker. And so the issue now is that British voters are asking Keir Starmer, what kind of judgment do you have? Everybody in the Western world knew this guy was a pedo. But just because he looked you in the eye and said, no, I'm not a pedo, you said, oh, okay, I'm going to make you a minister, and then I'm going to make you ambassador to the United States. And it was all a lie. So it's not necessarily that it would necessitate new elections, but I think it absolutely will necessitate an election inside the Labour Party to choose a new leader who would be prime minister and to throw out Keir Starmer, who frankly is as bad as, Liz Truss and the head of Cabbage.
And is definitely on his way out.
He's out. Yeah, he's going to be
Jackson McGrath, John, do you think Epstein was a murderer?
That's a good question. I haven't seen any evidence yet that he may have been, but people that are that deep in this kind of perversion, who knows?